It's great TV time. You ready? We've got a secret ingredient this week that you'll want to stick with. But it could give you problems, and if you have problems, then they will be
compounded. Fired up.
We are taping from the birthplace of American barbecue. It's GrateTV. We're in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and a morning time.
A morning shoot this week, and when in the morning time, I have a rule about when we actually crack open beer. So I try to keep my beer afternoon, usually after 3. So this morning we will be drinking coffee.
My coffee.
This is Bill West coffee. Bill's
It wasn't my finest hour from coffee, and I know you actually roast the beans. Sorry.
I do my own coffee roasting as a little side hobby, but this coffee's pretty tasty, Bill. Thank you very much.
Cheers to you.
To you.
And let's see here. Jack Waybor's here, 3-time South Carolina state champion, and I'm Bill West with BBQtricks.com. We always get together every week.
Good to see you, Bill.
We always check your emails that you send to bill@GrateTV.com or jack@GrateTV.com, and also post great plate pictures.
That's right.
In fact, since we're talking about great plate photos that have been submitted, thank you, Ben Brott. Look at this thing.
Man, look at that. Ribs and veggies.
Always good to get great plate pictures like that. It looks really good.
And that looks fantastic.
Send us yours if you got a picture to either Facebook, or it's real easy just to go to GrateTV.com. There's a link on the left-hand margin that says Submit Your Great Plate.
That's awesome.
Really easy to do, and we'll feature it on an upcoming show.
Do it. We'll make you famous.
Getting right into it, our letter this week says, "Hi, Jack and Bill. This is still one of my favorite shows these days, especially as summer cooking season heats up. I want to let you know that I tried the brisket technique you talked about on the Mojo Creole and Hop Devil episode a few months ago." What was that?
We showed Mojo Creole as a marinade, and we drank Hop Devil beer. Pretty good stuff, too.
It worked like a charm, especially that Hop Devil beer, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't have a picture because, well, it's already gone. Save those pictures. And it's so easy on the phone now.
That's right.
Also had a question about wood. Do you have any tips on tending the fire during cooking, in a backyard setting during competition, either way? For example, I was once told that I should get my smoker as hot as possible, then back it down when I get ready to cook. I think the logic had something to do with heat retention in the middle of the smoker. And also you asked what kind of woods are good for different kinds of meats. But what's the deal with that? Do you, when you're smoking, do you crank it up as hot as possible, either with charcoal and then have it come down, or try and build it up slowly?
It all depends on what kind of pit you're using. In the ceramic pits, they hold heat real well. So you don't want to take your temperature up too much past where you are, because, quite frankly, you never get the temperature to come back again. That's a ceramic, the double wall insulated cookers. But on the regular, on the regular cookers,
the big green eggs,
the big green eggs and the primos and that kind of thing. But on the and if you're using a good solid, say, 1/4-inch metal cooker, kind of like the Oklahoma Joe is, Bill, you heat those up. You try to get those cookers up hot. But I'm not going to recommend you go up to 400 or 500 degrees and then let it back down. The process of heating a cooker up is all about BTUs, and we've talked about heating things up and what that's all about. When you heat your cooker up, if you get it really hot, it does take it a while for it to back down, but then you've wasted all that energy getting it hot.
Charcoal or gas or whatever it is.
So you've wasted a bunch of energy. Now, you want to get it hot, and you want to get it hotter than your target temperature, whatever that is, be it 250, 300, 325, but you don't want to get it like super hot. You're going to heat the metal up to a point, and then yes, it will back down. Now, depending on your weather conditions, because Mother Nature likes to steal the heat, that's just part of the physical properties of heat and heat transfer and so on and so forth. So heat your cooker up to where you need to be, and then I would suggest, if your target temperature, say, is 250, heat your cooker up to about 300. Let it be there for a little bit. Let the metal fully, take in, whatever it is whatever heat that you want to give to it. And then once you open your grill up and you put your meat on, your temperature is automatically going to drop out. So when you close your lid, it will come back up again, but it's not going to come back up to where it was when you started because you've lost some of the heat transferred into the cooker. Then you want to go ahead and just maintain your heat within the environment of the vessel itself. Now on the thin wall cookers, I'm talking about the the Weber Smoky Mountains or the Smoking Pit Pros or any of those things. If you get your heat up high and then you let it back down, that metal is so thin that it's just not going to make any difference.
Yeah.
Your fire is actually sustaining the heat. The metal is not doing anything for you because the metal's so thin that the environment is just robbing it back away from you.
But if it's a windy day, you may want to have some margin of error right before you put that meat on.
I agree.
Because as soon as you open up a cold day,
right.
But that won't be for a few months.
And with gas, your recovery is fairly fast. If you're using wood and charcoal, when you open and close your cooker, when you're using wood and charcoal, you get the thing, you cook within a range on those kind of cookers. So you heat if you're looking for 250, 260, maybe you heat your cooker up to 275 and then let it drop back to about 245 while you're adding fuel in there, because you don't want to just be sitting there constantly adding fuel to your fire.
What about the theory that you could when you put on like a big roast or something, let it come down a little bit to temperature on the counter before you put it on, because instead of wasting that energy on your fuel source, you might as well let it come from a refrigerator to come to temperature like inside or something before you put it on the grill.
I usually let my meat sit in the counter bill about an hour before I put it on the cooker, and I call that knocking the cold out of it. And you're right, because the heat transfer is such that it will take a longer time for it to heat up. Although I will say that smoke ring, when you're working with smoke ring and you're trying to get that beautiful red ring around it, if you take your meat from the refrigerator to the smoker, you'll get a more defined, more intense smoke ring. Yeah, and that's all about the heat transfer.
And I also will say you need to be careful when you're letting stuff sit, because then you're worried about bacteria and things like that.
That's right. Beef and pork, yes, as long as you work with beef roast and so on and so forth. But it's always a good idea to work safely with your food and keep it out of the danger zone.
Crickets are going here.
We're working.
Telling us to move on. By the way, if you've got questions about using different kinds of wood for different kinds of meat, I'll put a link up underneath this week's episode at GrateTV.com.
Yeah, and I will make a comment on that, Bill. The best wood that I have found for all types of cooking is pecan. I use it regularly. So.
Okay. Our gadget this week.
Gadget
kind of goes back to what we were talking about in the last couple of episodes for sharpening knives.
Yeah, we've been going show to show to show. We've had on different knives and different sharpenings and different pieces. And I did get some comment on my personal email about what kind of oil you use on the stones themselves. And I use a product called mineral oil. You can buy this pretty much at any grocery store, any drugstore. Mineral oil is safe to consume. You probably had it around back in the days when, if you're as old as I am, Mama had it in the cabinet for you.
It's labeled intestinal lubricant.
It's labeled intestinal lubricant, so it is digestible.
But this is categorized this week as our gadget, not our ingredient.
Not our ingredient. Certainly, I'm not one to let's lubricate up the intestines as a gadget or as an ingredient. So mineral oil is what you use on the stones. Put it on a paper towel, put a little on the stone, and that'll keep the fine metal shavings while you're sharpening your knife. The oil acts as kind of like a clearing agent, more or less. Keeps those fine metal particles from getting into the pores of the stone. It'll keep that up off of there. So put a little bit on, wipe it off with a paper towel, and then work your knife a couple of times in the stone, but keep on adding a little bit of oil to keep those metal shavings out of your stone. And it's actually good maintenance for your stone to keep it oil.
So this is a finer oil than probably any other things.
Yeah, you can use grapeseed oil, or you can use cooking oil, or whatever it is you want to use. The problem that I find with cooking oil is sometimes after a long period of time on anything, cooking oil tends to dry and get sticky.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
And mineral oil will not do that. That's why I use mineral oil.
What about on seasoning grills and grill grates and pans?
It's certainly you can do that. It's good for that too. I mean, it's just a good solid oil.
I've noticed the stickiness on oil. I've noticed with the vegetable oils these days.
Right.
Even just when I had some that I've used for this grill, and I've noticed, boy, it gets like tacky
As
or
it gets
something.
tacky, as it dries, it gets tacky. Mineral oil won't do that.
All right, good to know. Mineral oil may be good for seasoning grill grates
Yeah,
as well.
it's not expensive either. It's relatively cheap.
Our secret ingredient this week, we alluded to it earlier, what you could do with a stick of butter, and your problems could be compounded. Well, it's what?
We are using compound butter this week, and what I did a little home shoot, Bill, where we made some compound butter.
Oh, here it is. Here we're looking at some of it.
And compound butter is nothing but adding ingredients to a stick of butter. That's really all it is. And what I made here was chipotle lime butter. Started out, got all my ingredients out. Of course, I'm using chipotle peppers, so I want to make sure I'm wearing gloves. The last thing you want to do is be using hot stuff and not
Just
put your gloves on.
out of the can, those smoked.
Yep.
The chipotles are just a smoked jalapeno.
Yeah, and I always have chipotles laying around my refrigerator, so mine are kind of in a plastic dish, and I use one or two at a time, but I save the rest of them. I don't throw them away. I don't put them in the freezer. They're stable. They'll last a long time in your refrigerator. You can freeze them. There's nothing wrong with freezing them. So you take it out. What basically the process is, you open up the pepper. You take out the seeds on the inside, because the seeds on the inside are, to me, a bad texture, and that's where a lot of the really intense heat is. So I de-seed it. I mince up the chipotle pepper, and then you go ahead and add your ingredients. I put a little bit of fresh lime juice in, a little bit of kosher salt, and then you just go ahead and mix it on up until it becomes a good consistency for whatever you're going to use it in. We are actually going to use the chipotle lime butter for some corn that we're cooking, and you know that the chipotle lime butter with Parmesan cheese is a old and tried and true side dish. So we're kind of
Looks
working
really
with that
good.
today.
Smells real good. Dig into it.
And that is real live, 100% Grade A. I use salted butter rather than unsalted, just because I, like a little bit of salt in my butter. It's pretty much the way it is.
So you can. Really, I don't think we've done butter as a secret ingredient.
I don't think we've actually done butter, and we're compounding butter. And I'll tell you, you can compound butter. Compound butter is so easy to make. And a lot of times guys will take the butter and they'll roll it up in wax paper, and so you can cut nickels out of it, what they call nickels. You can put it in the freezer, and you can cut your nickels off it. You can compound with anything. Fresh herbs, salt, garlic, really garlic butter that they make, the garlic spreads and stuff like that are nothing but compound butter. That's really what it is. So you can use fresh product, fresh ingredients, and dill is good with fish. All your herbs and everything are all great for compound butters.
Play around with it, especially for some summer
Yeah.
grilling. It can just add that extra
Heck
something.
yeah.
All right, that's awesome. We'll try this next week.
We are going to knock into it, that's for sure.
Till next week, make sure you get us those Grate plates, because we want to feature more and more of them, either on the website and right here on the show. Subscribe,
Yep.
comment, especially subscribe on YouTube too. The way YouTube works is the more people comment and subscribe and view the episode, the more people actually can find it. So if you do that, please, if you have a YouTube account, please subscribe and help us out.
Hit that like button as often as you can. Get to us on Facebook. We're still looking to get to 1,000 subscribers on Facebook.
We're going slow.
We are moving kind of slow, so make sure you tell all your friends to look us up over on GrateTV. Send me a letter. I'm certainly always willing to do it, and keep up with the show. We're having a good time. It's summertime. We're grilling.
Questions too. We're asking for pictures. Questions always.
That's right.
We'll see you next week.
Hey, gang, make sure that think global, buy local, stay sustainable, and every chance you get, hug your mama.